Very good afternoon, it's Vikram Sareen here. We are going to the demo number 5 for AxiomProtect. Actually, this is going to be a long demonstration, so we're going to split into part A and part B. In part A, we are going to cover system settings. Basically, that's the settings which control or mandate what exactly will happen. So for example, the OTP length or the duration, or what should be the operator policy, or what should be the source of where the users are stored and the information is retrieved from, and all these other kind of settings, basically settings that actually run the system. So over here we are going to start with channel profile setting, then go to OTP token setting, which is one-time password token setting, and then we have the password policy, which is enforced on the operator as well as the user. Then we'll have the user source setting, which will basically be either pulling the data from database, LDAP, or any other external source. And then go into the image authentication, which is what we also call it as secure phrase. And then the challenge response, which is basically the Q&A. Okay, so let's get started on this. Okay, so the first thing is the settings comes under configuration, and let's get started with the channel profile setting. In channel profile setting, it essentially gives you what do you call it as this channel specific information, meaning that what will be the profile that will come in. So first is user. So when we are looking at the user or searching through the web service, then either you can choose whether you want to enforce email, phone number restriction or uniqueness, or you want to enforce name uniqueness. So what it means is that when you are creating a user, whether you want a phone number to be unique or email to be unique, or whether you want the name to be unique. So this way you can actually control it. So obviously if you say name is unique, that means only one name will exist. So let's say it's if my name is Vikram Sareen and that's the name, I want to keep it unique, so I'll set it as name, and then the user Vikram Sareen will always have only one entry in the system. So this has its plus and minus, so you can evaluate which one suits you, and then you can pick that up. The second is what we call it as suspend to send the alert. So whenever there is a change in the system, so there are few things that can change, whether you're editing the user, or whether you're deleting the user, or whether you're resetting the user. So there are 3 settings pertaining to that: edit, delete, and reset. And then you are saying that what you want to do. You want to basically send alert, and in this case it's suspended, but if you say yes, then it will send the alert as email, or voice, what option you would like to have. Now going to the next one, now load token setting. So let's say if you do any changes in the token setting, then you want the system to load it every time from the data source, or you want to load it once when the server starts. So you can actually pick it up. Every time is better because of simple reason that you don't need to restart the server. Restarting server itself can lead to issues like if there are certain transactions that are happening and there could be a possible downtime. So we highly recommend keep it every time. Then the mobile token source. Now the mobile token, which we have it available under AxiomProtect, is of 2 types. One is basically the embedded SDK for web as well as mobile, so we normally call it Mobile Trust. And the other one is which is available on our App Store, which is basically on Apple and Google Store. So over here you get to see the 2 options. So based on what you are using, that means if you are integrating your mobile app or mobile insurance app or web app with what we call it as mobile or web SDK, then you will put web SDK here as the option, or you will put Google. Both cannot be supported at the same time. It can only be one that can be supported. Because of the technical restriction, that flexibility is not there for supporting both. So right now you can only have one of them. The other thing is, if you want to create for both, then what you can do is you can create 2 channels, and then you can have one channel which is for Mobile Trust and the other channel which is for Google Token. Yeah. Next is SMS, email, voice, fax, the CA, that means the external certificate connector. All these are external parties. So what Axiom does is that it periodically checks. So you can define when you want it to check for the status, And the next two settings are more on the way you want to store the files. Again, please don't change it, it doesn't impact, but if you really want to change it, you can. There's no restriction, but again, it's a default setting that is coming from the server. So for the temporary files and the remote, the server signing part. Next is maker checker enforcement. So over here, firstly you enable it. Once you enable it, the anything pending, so let's say if you have assigned a token or removed a token, or any other operations which are under maker checker, they will be actually logged for certain times. That means they will kept in a pending state for this drop down check. That means that, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks. And then the next is whether you want the authorization coming from the same unit. So earlier we had explained that what is unit and how does the operators belong to different unit. So let's say you want, in this particular scenario, you want the person to be of a different unit to make sure that there is no internal bad employees trying to team up to do something wrong. So you actually set it as different unit, meaning that only the operator from the different unit will be able to approve it. Yeah. And then you have the authorization, which is for the tokens, the hardware tokens, whether you want to enable it or disable it. The next one is again for the OCRA, which is auth challenge response algorithm, that is used for signature one-time passwords, which is used in our mobile trust SDK as well as hardware token or software token, and also out-of-band token. Now over there you have the OTP, the CR OTP and the signature OTP. So these are basically the what do you call it as the initialization specification. So it's already been defined. Again, it's default, so please let it be like that. And the last one is the geolocation. The geolocation essentially tells you basically IP to geo mapping. So over there the information actually gets from the gets pulled from a particular class file. So what we have done is that this is the implementation of the class file, and this one handles the IP to geo or latitude longitude mapping and all these things. So if there is anything enhancement or anything change needs to be done, then this can be changed. So Axiom itself doesn't change, but it uses this particular class file to actually do the geolocation mapping and implementation. Yeah. So that was very quickly covering the channel profile. Next I'm going to the OTP token. Yeah. Okay, OTP token is again available in the same system configuration. Okay, so as you would see, we have out of band token, software token, hardware token. Then I'll talk about these three later. Again, the length of OTP you can define here. You can define the signature, one-time password, and the auth algorithm. Auth algorithm is time and event based. Time-based algorithm is not as strong as event-based, other way around. Event-based is not as strong as time-based. We highly recommend for using time-based algorithm for a couple of reasons. Firstly, time is never constant, so your OTP will never be the same. Nobody can write down the OTPs and use them later. And thirdly, a time, because it is of the nature of it being dynamic, it's always changing, so there can be man in the middle, or any kind of attack can only be kind of shrunk to 1 minute or 30 seconds. So that it's, which is unlike event token it is forever. So from a vulnerability point of view, event tokens are more vulnerable than time tokens. Then token expiry after session. So any system communicates with Axiom after opening a session. So this setting says whether you want the token expiry, that means the token to expire after the session, or you don't want it to happen. That means you want it to, if you say disable, that means it will be it can be validated by other sessions also. Yeah, so it depends upon how you're looking at your system and how you're defining your system. You can say whether I want it to be specific for one session or whether I want it to be across all the sessions. Next is suspend token if the user has not used it for so many days. And then unlock token, which is basically, let's say if somebody's put 5 times wrong OTP and then the token is locked. So automatically after 3 hours the token will get unlocked. So over here you can actually say up to 24 hours. Now this is a good feature because it eliminates operator intervention. So that means that the operator doesn't need to come in and reset or unlock the token all the time. Automatically the system will pick it up and do that. Yeah. Okay, something very similar for software token. Yeah, OTP length, signature OTP algorithm, same, locking, unlocking. Yeah, set expiry. Now this is validation expiry for the software token registration. So the software token registration requires a registration or activation code which goes to your mobile device, either as SMS or voice call. And now the validity of that can be defined over here. So let's say if you say only 10 minutes, that means you only want it to be available for 10 minutes or 30 minutes. And so that is crucial, because after 10 minutes or 30 minutes the registration code will be inactive, or will be useless basically, or it has to be used within 30 minutes, and after using it will automatically be kind of used up and it cannot be used again. Yeah. Next is web token expiry time. So something very similar to the software token, where you say, okay, when should web token expire? So meaning that if I'm registering it as a public PC, then what should be the duration my token should expire? Yeah, and then what is the attempts of the pin for the web token? Yeah, going to the hardware token. Again, length, signature OTP length, auth algorithm, same as expiry, lock and unlock. So it's very similar to OV token. Okay, this one also adds in, or the hardware token also has this feature, what we call it as PUK code. Now if the user has entered the pin on the token, on the hardware token, wrongly 5 times, then the hardware token will get locked. You cannot use it, and it will prompt you for PUK code, to enter a PUK code. Now that PUK code, the length and also the validity, that means for how long it should be valid, actually comes from here. Yeah. So these two settings actually make sure that we have the right PUK code given to the user to enter inside the hardware token, and then they can unlock the token, and after that they can set the pin again, the new pin again. Now validation attributes, basically what it means is that what should be the duration, or how many times, or how many steps we should go. So it basically says 3, 5, 7 times, like how many attempts you can make, and then also what should be the validation steps. Now these validation steps is very crucial. So let's say you say that my token duration is 30 seconds, and I want to have a 5 steps. That means it will take 150 seconds in the past and 150 seconds in the future, and then your OTP or SOTP will be validated in that 300 seconds window. If you reduce it to 1, what it means is that 30 in the past, 30 in the future, meaning 60 seconds only. So you are reducing the time when it should get validated, but sometimes because out of sync can happen, so it is a good practice to keep it as 3 steps. So let's say you say, okay, 160 seconds each OTP is generated, and then I will keep this thing set of 3, and then the how many wrong attempts is also set over here. Yeah, and this last setting is pertaining to the hardware token threshold in the unit and operator context, where you say that if you enable it, that means if the threshold goes below certain point. So let's just quickly come and see over here. So you would see over here that there is a threshold limit. So if the threshold limit reaches below, so if you see over here, so Bombay has a 10 and Bhopal has 120. So if it goes below that, that means you are able to, that means that's where the alert will go. Yeah. Okay, so that was the OTP. I think this video is going to be quite long. Now I'm going to the password policy. Now the password policy applies to operator as well as the user. Now quickly going through it. Okay, this is very similar to what a LDAP or any other system will offer, where you want to enforce certain policies on the password generation itself. Yeah, so meaning numeric, alphanumeric, what kind of password do you want, what should be the length, then when it should expire, how many valid attempts you want to allow, then whether you want it to have a repetition of characters or not. Let's say if somebody types in a password as VVV, so do you want to allow that or not? And then the password reuse generation, meaning that let's say if you set a password in January, and it was, let's say, so what we call as generations, meaning that whether your password, let's say 12345 is you can set it again when. So you, let's say if you say 6 generations more, meaning that only after 7th generation or after 7 new passwords that are being set by you, you will be allowed 123456 as a password. Yeah, then common passwords. So this is quite interesting, is that if you want to eliminate certain like passwords which that the person should not enter as per your company policy, you can come over here and you can enter over here. So meaning that these are the passwords that will not be allowed. Then change password in the first login. So you want the user to enable or disable it, something similar to LDAP. Then how many issuance, that means how many password you want to allow to be issued to the particular user. So let's say if the user is issuing again and again, then you want to restrict that because the hack can happen, right? Then enforce dormancy. So if the person does not use it for certain time, meaning that 1 month, 2 months, so you can actually say, okay, after 2 months I want the account to be declared as dormant, and then old password cannot be used after how many generations. Yeah, then password reset. Yes, you want to allow for ePIN. ePIN is another feature of ours which is for issuing PIN electronically, and over there, so you say, okay, whether you want to allow or not, and then over here, that means that these two settings will basically impact the ePIN workflow as well as the challenge response workflow. Yeah, and whether you want to give an alert to which set of operators you want to give. Yeah, and then also whether you want to send SMS, email, web push or not, and then how many attempts you want to do. Yeah. So okay, again, so this one was very quickly talking about the password. Let's go to the user setting. Okay, let's just have a quick water. Okay, now in user setting, it basically allows you to talk to different databases, meaning that you can have SQL, MySQL, and I think in the latest version also we can actually talk to an LDAP. So over here you put in the IP and the port, and you also say whether it's SSL enabled or not, and then whether you say whether it's what is the database and the table and the authentication to access that table, and then if any additional information you want to pass in. Okay, this information basically gets passed to the implementation class. So let's say if there's something very specific in your database you want to pass in, then you can set it over here. If not, then you can leave it blank. Then second is that if the password which is being stored or which will be stored, it is in what format. So encrypted, hashed, plain, and then you have the algorithms which are over there for encryption and hashing. And then you also say that the user validity days, in terms of like for how long the user password will be valid, so from 1 year to 5 years. And then again the algorithm attributes, if you need, let's say if you want to specify salt, or if you want to specify IV or something very specific to the algorithm, then you can pass it over here. And then eventually what happens is all this information gets consumed in this particular class file or the implementation. So what it does is that inside this you can change it. So meaning if you want to change anything or you want to put additional checks, you can actually implement this particular class and put it in and set it over here. So nothing changes in Axiom, only the class file changes, so you can actually do much more without actually changing the code of the product. So yeah, again, so this is just to show that whatever settings I put in here is connecting. Yeah, and then I'm able to do that. So that was very quickly on user source. User source is primarily responsible for the users. That means where the users are coming from, where the user are going to get stored. It has no implication on the tokens, certificates, and all these other things, because all these other things are stored with Axiom's database. So Axiom database can be different, user source database can be different. Yeah, so let's say if you want to come up with a web service which is from another system and use that as a user source, you can do that. Yeah. Okay, now going to the next one, which is secure phrase. So okay, secure phrase essentially is, in the previous demo we have also shown how it works. So we just want to quickly highlight, secure phrase is nothing but image authentication. Now image authentication is combination of the user's chosen color and user's chosen text. So we create a dynamic image we create a dynamic image based on the color and the text that is being set by the user, and then on top of that there is a particular thing what we call it as sweet spot. Sweet spot is the point or a pixel or you know a certain region on that image which essentially is so let me just quickly try to show you what I mean. Do we have a okay, anyway, I don't want to take too much of a time. Okay, let me explain by the time this thing is opening. Now then, if you have enabled it, then the deviation. So let's say obviously nobody can click perfectly the same pixel every time. So you can say, okay, I want 5 pixels in the X, 5 pixels in the Y. That means that it will actually be a 5 by 5 kind of square, and if you click inside that, it will allow it. So meaning that it is certain, I would say, acceptable threshold that you have set. So if somebody clicks around it, around the original pixel, then it is, then the person allows it. And the second part is whether you want to enforce geolocation along with your image authentication and also the device profiling along with that. So meaning that what you are saying is that I want to make it 3 factors solution, technically 4 factors. One is the color and the text. Second is the sweet spot itself. The third is the geo, and the fourth is the device. So you actually come up with 4 set of configurations that will actually be able to do this for you. Yeah, sorry, which one is that? Sweet spot, yeah, correct. इसको बोल दे कॉलम में फिर. Okay, so let's see. I hope I have it. Yeah. Okay, if this user doesn't have, we'll try something else. Okay, I don't think so. I'll know the password. Yeah, I need the password for this. Empty. I need the password. Yeah, okay. So in this, if you see above B is what I am, is where my sweet spot is, which only user knows. So if you see, if I click anywhere else, okay, let me try to show you a bigger one. So if you see, yeah, so where if I come over here, yeah, I'm actually able to see. So this is the square which I have. So if I'm clicking somewhere here, we will accept it. Yeah. Okay, quickly coming back. So that was for the user setting. A secure phrase or image authentication setting, and last one is the challenge response. Challenge response is nothing but the question and answers. So what we have done in our system is that we have the list of questions which get populated or pre-populated, and sorry, I got logged out. I think somebody logged in from the other side. Ask them not to. Okay. Okay, so if you look at it, I come over here, I get to see the list of all the questions that are there. Then I can see, so what's your favorite actor, musician, so this list can be, populated. So you can add more questions over here. So let's say, what is your favorite song? Yeah, and then I can say what's the rating I'm giving, 6, and then I say active, I save it. So these questions will be made available to the user, and then user can answer that. Q&A is a very good stepping stone from low security to high security or resetting the password. So again, we'll not go into micro details of it, but as you could see that in the part 1 what we have done is explained the 6 settings that are used in Axiom, and in the part B we're going to look at the other settings that will influence how the system works and how the system behaves. Yeah. So with Yogesh, it's Vikram. Thank you so much for your time to go through this video, and please do let us know if you have any questions or queries. We'll be glad to answer and share whatever knowledge we have. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day.